On Tech News today, Motorola and Verizon unveil the droids you've been looking for. Plus, one of the world's biggest car designers says Apple and Google could take over the car industry. And even Wal-Mart is testing delivery drones now. It's all coming up next on Tech News Today.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com.
This is Tech News Today for Tuesday, October 27th, 2015. This episode is brought to you by Wealthfront. Wealthfront is a low-cost automated investment service that's the most sophisticated way for you to invest your money. Whether you've got millions or you're just starting out, visit wealthfront.com/TNT to sign up and get your free personalized investment portfolio. That's wealthfront.com/TNT. And by ZipRecruiter. Are you hiring? With ZipRecruiter.com, you can post to 100-plus job sites, including social networks, all with a single click. Screen, rate, and hire the right candidates fast. Try ZipRecruiter with a free 4-day trial now at ZipRecruiter.com/TNT. Tech News Today is the show where we talk about the tech news with the journalists who report it. My name is Mike Elgan. Our co-anchor today is After Nines and Channel E2E content czar Joe Panettieri. How you doing, Joe?
Mike, I'm doing great. How's your week treating you so far?
So far, so good. Today's a great news day for people who are fans of the Droid line. We'll talk about that in just a sec. But there's an interesting story brewing that I wasn't going to mention at first, but then it's got an interesting new development. Essentially what's happening is that two panels at South by Southwest, each of which is covering some aspect of online harassment and threatening behavior by various trolls and so on, have been canceled because of threats by trolls, etc. And so at first I thought, it's kind of, this feeds into the whole trolling, online harassment story thing that we talked about a few times, but it's not really that technology-oriented, so I'm not going to cover it. And then right before the show, BuzzFeed did this big public article and open letter where they said they're threatening to pull out of South by Southwest because the organizers of South by Southwest are being a bunch of sissies about this and should go forward and have the panels and not be intimidated by anonymous threats. What do you think about this? Who's right? Is BuzzFeed right, or is South by Southwest right to cancel the sessions?
Well, Mike, I'll cop out and just say I love virtual events and, and online events. Now, it's difficult for me to say because I haven't seen the context of the threats, nor do I know the history of the threats, nor do I know if there's any evidence of whether or not the threats are credible. Listen, we've all written things or done things over the years where people have made threats, but, sometimes you go to DEFCON 1 when things are getting real serious. So tough for me to say without knowing the context.
Yeah, I think that in general, whether they're threats or not, the organizers of any event, such as South by Southwest, need to have some level of protection for the people who are there. And having said that, in general, again, barring evidence to the contrary, it's likely that this is, anybody can send an anonymous note threatening whatever. It could be some 15-year-old in a basement in Czechoslovakia or something. So, it's likely that it's not a credible threat. I mean, just statistically, it's unlikely. People who make these threats and try to silence people online they do that anonymously precisely because they are lurking in the shadows. They're not going to go do anything. They don't even leave their mother's basements. They just threaten people and then get a thrill out of causing people to change their behavior. So, I tend to lean toward BuzzFeed in this regard. But again, if South by Southwest has some information that makes them believe this is credible, let's say, for example, if the FBI said, no, this sounds really credible, we think you should cancel the event, something like that, then that would be a different story. But if just somebody threatened to cause violence, I don't think that's a good reason to cancel these panels. And folks, if you want me to be on the panel, I'd be glad to be there. So I'm not an expert on online harassment, but I would be happy to sit on that panel.
You could be soon, Mike.
Yes, by myself. All right, well, let's jump into the first story. Verizon and Motorola today jointly unveiled the Droid Turbo 2 and Droid Max 2 phones. The Droid Turbo 2 has what is claimed to be a shatterproof display. Challenge accepted, Motorola. And a 2-day battery. It's got a 21-megapixel rear camera, 5-megapixel front camera, and it costs $25 a month for the 32-gig version and $40 a month for the 64-gigabyte version. The Droid Max 2 also has a battery that lasts 2 days, according to the companies. It costs $16 a month. Both phones launch Thursday. I love these phones, but I hate the fact that it's just on Verizon, Joe, but that's just how it goes, I guess.
You know, just on Verizon, and I got to admit, the whole Droid comment, as you were queuing up this story, I couldn't help but wonder how much George Lucas continues to make off this name. And also, I wonder if is it Disney now making the money, or is it George Lucas? Did the rights go over to Disney as part of the Lucasfilm sales? I don't know.
Well, according to an article online, at least one article on Recode, they are playing Lucas. They were paying Lucasfilm for the rights, not Disney.
Right, which Disney, yeah. But Disney now owns Lucasfilm.
Disney owns Lucasfilm?
Yes,
okay.
They do as part of the Star Wars buyout. Yes.
Okay. In that case, Disney once again gets all the money. So it's a small world after all, but a big world if you get all the money for all the words. All right, more news coming right up, but first I want to tell you how to grow your money using Wealthfront, one of our sponsors today. Are you an expert in investing? I'm not. Most of us are not. It's actually a pretty difficult specialty, and it's hard for people to know where to go. I've gone to a lot of different financial companies and looked for a company that I really felt good about, and I've been very unsuccessful in that endeavor. You know, I just don't like the way that a lot of these companies do things. They nickel and dime you to death, and Wealthfront is the solution to that whole problem. You can get started investing with Wealthfront with a minimum of only $500, and when you sign up for an account, it goes right to work monitoring your portfolios around the clock and takes action as soon as an opportunity presents itself. And now, they use all kinds of sophisticated investment strategies like tax loss harvesting and direct indexing, which optimize your after-tax returns while simultaneously lowering your tax bill. This is the beauty of it. In addition to maximizing the quality of your investments, they're saving you money on fees, they're saving you money on taxes, they're saving you a lot of money, while at the same time growing the money that you work so hard to earn. And you pay only 0.25% a year. That's 25 basis points, 0 commissions, and 0 hidden fees. That's less than $5 a month to invest a $30,000 account. And again, no additional charges. That is amazing. It's just an amazing service. And you can visit wealthfront.com/TNT to sign up and get your free personalized investment portfolio. You'll see the customized allocation they recommend for your profile. And just for Twit listeners and viewers, if you sign up to invest, Wealthfront will manage your first $15,000 entirely free of charge for life. Claim your offer today at wealthfront.com/TNT, and we thank Wealthfront for their support of Tech News Today. For compliance purposes, I have to tell you that Wealthfront, Inc. is an SEC-registered investment advisor. Brokerage services are offered through Wealthfront Brokerage Corporation, member FINRA, and SIPC. This is not a solicitation to buy or sell securities. Investing in securities involves risks, and there is a possibility of losing money. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. Please visit wealthfront.com to read their full disclosure. In our next story, Facebook is tweaking its notifications options to compete directly with, wait for it, Google Now. Lucas Matney writes for TechCrunch and joins us now. Welcome to the show, Lucas.
How's it going, Mike?
It's going great, thanks. Now, can you tell us about the new Facebook's notification tab? What's going on there?
Yeah, so I don't know. The way Facebook notifications used to work is there's just this kind of endless list that, you know, that little red tab always kind of reminded you is there. But now they're kind of doing something different. They're splitting it up into all of these different widgets. So they'll have a widget for like events and birthdays and, you know, likes and comments. But they're calling them cards, which is exactly what Google Now calls them. And this whole thing's kind of shaping into Facebook's kind of personal assistant, and it has, you know, a lot of things that remind you of Google Now, kind of going with it.
So, is Facebook here trying to incent me to turn on this feature? And if so, what's the upside for me?
So they're just rolling it out now. So most users probably aren't going to be getting it for a few months. But from the people I've talked to, it doesn't sound like this is going to give you more notifications. It just sounds like a lot of these widgets are already on the desktop site, kind of in the sidebar. So they're just trying to give you more of a desktop experience on mobile, I think.
Now, there'll be a different experience for people who have the location history enabled. And this is kind of a controversial thing, I think, for some people because they don't want to be tracked by Facebook. Yeah. But what are the goodies that you get with location history enabled?
So with location history enabled, you can get stuff like weather, what movies are playing in your area. You can kind of trending news is already going to be a part of the notifications tab. But if you have location awareness, it can kind of tell you what's going on in your county or city or neighborhood or so on. So, and then there'll be plugins so that you can check out nearby restaurants, make reservations. It's kind of, it's all the stuff from Google now that people like. But yeah, it is a little bit different for Facebook than it is for Google because, Facebook has such a struggle with privacy. And I think Google has been taking passive location data for Google Now if you approve it. But Facebook is they have so much information on me. I think that people are a little bit more reticent to turn on location awareness.
Hey, Lucas, any clues in terms of next steps for Facebook? I mean, how might they roll this out and how soon might it reach the masses?
So I reached out to them and they said all they would say is be gradually kind of reaching to different users. I think, when I saw this news, what kind of impacted me first was that this is kind of a personal assistant, but, they've already been testing M, which is kind of a text-based personal assistant powered by AI and people. And that's in the Messenger app. So I was kind of wondering whether this was kind of Facebook's way of creating a kind of home for M if M ever moved in to be in the regular core Facebook app. So could be something to look for.
And so you think that's a possibility?
I think possibly. I mean, I think that there was a story that came out on BuzzFeed yesterday about one of the journalists that had M and was just kind of talking and seemed pretty impressed with what they'd been able to do with it. So I think it might be something that Facebook starts rolling out a little bit more. And I don't think it necessarily makes sense to keep it captured in Messenger if it is such a major service and kind of, a boon to their digital assistant possibilities. So I think it could kind of work its way in here.
It's all part of Facebook's grand you never have to leave Facebook policy. So they're recreating the internet piece by piece. Lucas Matney is at TechCrunch.com and on Twitter at Lucas_Matney. Lucas, thanks for joining us today on Tech News Today.
Pleasure to be here.
Bye. It seems like everybody these days is getting into the drone delivery business, or at least trying to figure out if drone delivery really works. The latest company to embrace the idea is none other than Wal-Mart, according to an exclusive by Reuters. Peter Henderson is the, well, let me get your title right, Peter, Deputy Companies Editor for Reuters. Peter, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Mike.
I'm so glad you're here to explain this because it doesn't make sense that Walmart would want to deliver by drone, at least not to me. I mean, they deal with such massive quantities. They would darken the skies if they delivered everything by drone. So how do we know Walmart is actually serious about drone delivery?
Well, they've just asked the FAA to let them test delivery outside. Apparently, they've been doing it in some humongous hangar, I guess, for a while. And now they want to take it out into their parking lots, out into the streets, and around their warehouses. A few things that are interesting about it. They definitely do want to deliver to customers in kind of the way that leaps to mind, where a drone would leave a store and go off to a customer's home. But they're also trying a few other things. They want to carry groceries out from the parking lot to your car. They even want to take a truck with drones on it and have the drones go from the truck to your front door. Now, I still don't know how they'll manage to do a full Walmart-sized load, but I guess we'll have to wait to see on that. The one other thing that they've got in mind, which is kind of interesting, is to have drones go around their warehouse parking lots and just check how inventory is changing. So, as you said, they've just got thousands and thousands of stores. Each store has more than 100,000 items, and to keep track of that is extremely difficult. So the drones can kind of fly around the parking lots, check out the license plate of a truck, and know that, the big delivery of Pampers is here.
Hey, Peter, any types of early clues here in terms of what types of drones that Walmart may leverage for this effort?
They've asked the FAA to use a couple from SZ-DJI technology, which is, I think, the biggest drone maker. I'm not sure kind of how big those are, but that's the company they're working with.
They probably sell those too in Walmart by the gross.
Right.
Yeah, and so yeah, it's kind of interesting. And my guess is that if they were to roll it out, I mean, this of course is at the testing phase at this point. But if they were to roll it out, I would imagine they'd have DJI, you know, create custom drones. They can make whatever they want because, of course, Walmart is such a massive retailer, the massivest of massive retailers, and so they probably have the economies of scale to have their own custom fleet produced by DJI or maybe some other drone maker. Very interesting, and you know, I never would have thought this was possible, that drone delivery would become such a widespread thing to be at least tested. And I guess a lot of companies think that this is real and really going to happen. So I'll really believe it when that Walmart truck pulls out in front of my neighborhood and dispatches like so many drones like they're flying monkeys in The Wizard of Oz or something like that. Looking forward to that. Peter Henderson is at Reuters.com and on Twitter at BylinePeter. Peter, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Mike. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye. 2 months after releasing its on-hub router, which was made by the Chinese company TP-Link, Asus has released the second on-hub router today. This one has a feature called Wave Control. You wave your hand over the router, and it boosts the Wi-Fi speed on your connection somehow. The Asus version also has a smart antenna algorithm, although it's unclear exactly how that works as well. Again, this is very new information that came out just before the show. The first on-hub router landed with a thud, with reviewers underwhelmed by its performance. So Google released a new video today to explain the concept once again. Here comes the on-hub video.
How we use Wi-Fi is changing every day. There are more devices, more apps, and more video. And we're connecting our homes like never before. So shouldn't the routers that give us that Wi-Fi change too?
Yes.
Enter OnHub. OnHub represents an inside-out router rethink. It's built with the idea that if we love the devices that use Wi-Fi, maybe we should love the devices that supply it too. To help make that happen, we didn't just build a router. We built hardware and software that can live inside many of them. The first thing you'll notice about an OnHub is it doesn't look like a router.
No, it looks like an Amazon Echo.
That's because routers work better in the open, off the floor, not in the closet. So if we want you to put it on a shelf, it can't look like a bear claw. We then had to create components that perform like we want, but fit inside this design. The hallmark of that is the antennas. They're more compact, powerful, and work together to get your device fast, steady Wi-Fi, no matter how you're holding it. There's also one antenna whose only job is to always find the least congested Wi-Fi channel. And those blinking lights nobody understood? Gone. Replacing them is a simple app that helps you set it up, know who's online, and how much Wi-Fi they're using. And another cool thing, when you connect an on-hub router, the whole system learns from how Wi-Fi is being used and updates itself automatically. And this is only the beginning. Soon, over 50 billion more devices will be using Wi-Fi. OnHub is designed to evolve and grow with them. So no matter what the future looks like, you will have one simple hub to manage your wireless world. That's a lot to like, and hopefully, yes, one day love.
And a cat on a Roomba goes sliding by. You know, I'm confused about this, Joe. You know, well, first of all, I have to point out that their story sounds great. All this optimization and intelligent, you know, but then when people reviewed the first OnHub, they're like, it's not really that fast. It's not really that great of a router. So hopefully they'll improve it over time. But I'm confused about this feature, this wave control feature. If waving your hand over it boosts the performance, that means that it's capable of faster performance. Why doesn't it just have the faster performance?
Exactly. And isn't your entire family going to be in front of that thing waving all at once and trying to, you know, barter for their piece of bandwidth? I don't quite get it either.
Yeah, it's very strange. So, of course, we'll get our hands on this and review it, and we'll also talk to some expert reviewers. Ron Amadio at Ars Technica did a great review of the first OnHub. I'm sure he'll do this one as well. We'll get to the bottom of this, one way or the other. Well, Ken Okuyama, the guy who designed the Porsche Boxster and the Ferrari F60 Enzo, warned in a Reuters interview in Tokyo today that the car industry could be taken over by Apple and Google. He said the existing car industry could just end up simply supplying parts for the Silicon Valley car makers. And he pointed out how aggressively both Apple and Google are recruiting. You know, Joe, he said an interesting thing about the future of the car industry. He believes that the whole high-tech self-driving car industry will create commoditized cars. They'll all be the same. Nobody will care. They'll be cheap. They'll work, and people won't be that into it. That'll be one market, and then there'll be another market for the high-end sports cars and the really expensive cars. And that was an interesting idea, I thought. Maybe even a good idea, but either way, he thinks that Apple and Google are on track to take over the industry.
Yeah, you know, and to build on the thought you just shared, Mike, what if you thought about it in this way? You know, it's sort of the Chromebook versus the MacBook Air, right? So the Chromebook is just that low-end commodity. Get me on the internet. Let me get some work done. And then there's the experience of the MacBook Air and how wonderful it is. And maybe the car industry will go that way. Maybe we'll see a high end and a low end. I don't know. But I do think there's something to this thesis about parts suppliers ultimately bowing down to the major manufacturers, whether it's well, you can't even call them manufacturers, designers, whether it's Apple or Google. But Mike, do you get the sense that this is all or nothing for Apple and Google? Like, it's getting so hyped. I don't see a middle ground. They're either going to have to hit home runs or completely miss.
Yeah, I agree with that, and we'll see. You know, we'll see what they're going to actually do. Like you say, that there aren't any actual vehicles that are being sold at retail. Google has commissioned the creation of these little tiny golf cart things that go 25 miles an hour or whatever. That's not really going to happen out on the freeways. Apple, of course, is poaching a lot of employees, but who knows? It's not like they're betting the company. They're betting, you know, tiny fraction of their existing cash on this. You know, and they could be thinking, well, we'll just check it out and see if this is a business we want to get into. But I think at the end of the day, the car, a self-driving car, is basically a living room on wheels. It's a content consumption and internet connectivity place. And,
absolutely.
You know, the reason Google got into Android in the first place is they were afraid they will be locked out and that their many advertiser-supported services would not be welcome on Apple's platform, on other platforms, and so they created their own platform to make the world safe for Google apps that have ads. And I think the same goes for cars. We're going to be spending a lot of time in these cars, and it's not, because they're going to be self-driving, it's not just a, you know, AM, FM radio. It's not just listening to Pandora or whatever. It's going to be, you know, big screen TVs and like virtual reality games. And, you know, there's going to be a lot of media consumption going on in these cars. And so I don't think Apple or Google wants to be left out. So we'll see where that goes. Anyway, well, Facebook wants to give employees a taste of India. Not talking about food. They're radically slowing down the company internet. And just every Tuesday, it's a recurring event called 2G Tuesdays. They're doing this so everyone focuses on optimizing Facebook for the vast number of users with slow mobile connections. The slowdown is optional and temporary and lasts only an hour. Joe, I think this is a great idea. It's so easy for people at companies like Facebook or Google to think, oh, yeah, the internet is just zippy and fast, and so I'm just going to build and just ignore what it's like to be on a 2G connection somewhere in the world, which is, you know, literally like 1 billion people have really, really slow connections. And when some of the employees at Facebook, and some of the articles I've read here, go to India, they're just stunned by what the experience is like. It can take 2 minutes to load a web page, for example, on some of these phones. So I think this is a great idea.
It's a brilliant idea, Mike. And just a microcosm of that, I think a lot of small businesses do this as well. And listen, we're no Google, but with Channel E2E, when we were developing that, we would purposely go to the weakest cell service here on Long Island and pull up our site, see if it was working, see how it was performing. So yeah, anyone can develop a great website that has incredible broadband connectivity, but tell me about it when the chips are down and the connection's really weak. Can your site perform? And I think Facebook is onto something here.
Yeah, and if you want to test, if you're a small company, if you're a startup, and you want to test what it's like to have a really slow connection, go to Pete's Coffee and Tea and use their internet. It's like surfing the internet from the North Pole or something. It is so slow. So little tip for you, you small businesses out there. Well, in product update news, the BlackBerry Priv, which is BlackBerry's first Android phone, ships November 6th. A BlackBerry Priv simulator was posted by the Canadian telecom TELUS and quickly taken down. But users posting on the Crackberry forum site noticed that the Priv features something called the Productivity Edge. It's apparently a Samsung 6S-like feature that enables programmable messages and tickers on the curved edge of the display. So it looks like this device, Joe, sadly, copies the Samsung curved phones. So,
yeah, well, you know what, Mike? It seems to be a familiar theme with you in terms of all these smartphone players are just copying each other and trying to stay in the game, so to speak. And I don't know how much longer BlackBerry can do this. You know, John Chen, their CEO over there, is walking a tightrope in that he wants to promote these devices, but he's also told Wall Street that he'll throw in the towel by next year if these things don't sell. So, you know, it's sort of buyer beware for the consumers out there.
And also those working at the company who might be hit by a towel pretty soon.
Right.
So watch out there. In mergers and acquisitions news, Intel is buying Saffron AI, which has a cognitive computing platform comparable to IBM's Watson. Saffron claims its platform mimics the way the human brain works. This sounds like a pretty gutsy acquisition, Joe Panettieri. This isn't just some little tiny technology. This is Intel's own Watson, and we'll see if they actually put it out there for everybody to use.
Yeah, you know, I think all the hardware players, whether it's IBM or Intel you just mentioned, Cisco, by the way, just bought 2 analytics companies today or in the past couple of days. So you're seeing all the hardware players trying to figure out the software side of it, and to your point, Mike, the artificial intelligence side of it, and I think increasingly the Internet thing side of it, gathering and managing all that data from the endpoint devices out there.
We got some more news for you coming right up, but first I want to talk about hiring people. I'm going to tell you how you can hire somebody for free if you've never used our sponsor today, ZipRecruiter. I'll tell you about that at the end, but first I want to tell you why it's so fast to hire people on ZipRecruiter. For starters, famously, you can post to 100+ job sites with a single click. That's fast. It's faster to post to more than 100 sites with ZipRecruiter than it is to post to 3 sites manually. And it's so powerful. And then within 24 hours, that's all it takes for the jobs to start rolling in. And you can set up criteria to prevent you from having to directly deal with unqualified candidates. That's right. Only the qualified candidates come into your inbox. And then you can go through those qualified candidates very quickly using the very clear, easy-to-use interfaces that ZipRecruiter provides for you. And you can process that hire. You can do it all for free because you can use ZipRecruiter for 4 days for free. And it's just a fantastic service. And one testimonial from a user named Dan said the following. Dan said, "The hardest part about running a business when you need to hire is you have to spend extra time recruiting while you're short-staffed. That's why you're hiring, because you don't have enough people. But with ZipRecruiter, I've gotten quality candidates within 24 hours of posting a job. ZipRecruiter's website makes this process so much faster by letting me manage candidates in one place. ZipRecruiter is the place where you can go." This is me, Mike, talking again. that was the end of Dan's testimonial. ZipRecruiter is the one place where you can go to hire people very, very fast. And that's very important because you don't have time to wait. If you're short-staffed, you need to get that job filled with the right person as soon as possible. No need to waste your time with other methods. Use ZipRecruiter every single time. And today you can try ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/TNT, ZipRecruiter.com/TNT, and you got to process that first job for free. Check it out. We thank ZipRecruiter for their support of Tech News Today. Well, in news you can use, you've heard of the iPhone's new live photo feature. It creates by default, it creates a short video every time you take a picture. It basically is always recording. And when you hit that picture button, if you have the feature enabled, it will record the second or so before the picture and after the picture, so you get this little mini video. The live photo looks like a regular picture, and then people use it as a regular picture and they kind of forget that it's actually a pretty large file. One of the downsides is that it takes a lot more space than a regular photo does. Now, a free new app called Lean converts live photos into regular photos, and they even tell you how much storage space you've recovered in the process. This is kind of funny, Joe Panettieri. Apple unveils this feature with great pomp and circumstance, and then an app maker comes along and says, yeah, but we can undo it. That's the feature. Of course, you can turn off live photos in advance, but if you've already taken a bunch of live photos, this app will turn them into regular pictures. Very strange. I can't wait for this to come to Android. Not. Probably not going to happen. Our TNT fan of the day is Terrence Blount from Atlanta, Georgia, who posted this picture on Twitter. Terrence says he loves traveling and found himself watching TNT at Tulsa, Oklahoma's Center of the Universe. And there it is. The center of the universe is basically the circular pattern in the sidewalk that when you stand there and you talk, it echoes and stuff, and the voice sounds like you're from another planet or something. Very cool. But there we are. I wonder if TNT sounds like it's from another planet there. He didn't tell us. Show us how you watch or listen to TNT. Just record a video or take a picture of yourself or your setup and post it on Instagram, Google+, Twitter, or Facebook. And use the hashtag HowIWatchTNT so we can find it. Joe, what is happening at After Nines and Channel E2E?
Plenty's happening, Mike. On the one hand, channel e2e.com, where we cover the entrepreneur to exit journey, continues to be updated multiple times per day. But here's a nifty one for our listeners and viewers. If you're interested in the Internet of Things, all these sensors and devices out there, everyone's trying to figure out, well, who are the companies that are building out this next generation Internet of Things? If you go to channel e2e.com, check our homepage, you'll actually see a list of the top 100 Internet of Things startups. It's just a quick hit list you can download, and then you can go study these companies and see how they've been funded and what the products and services are that they actually offer.
Sounds awesome. Everybody check it out. Joe Panettieri, thank you so much for joining us today, and we will see you next week.
Sounds great, Mike. Take care. Have a great rest of week.
You too. Take care. Bye-bye. Let us know what's on your mind. Send email to tnt@twit.tv or call 260-TNT-SHOW. That's 260-868-7469. You can subscribe to Tech News Today at twit.tv/TNT. And if you'd like to help us grow our audience, we'd really appreciate it. Here's how you do it. Just post a link to twit.tv/TNT on your favorite social media site. Tag 3 friends that you think might like the show and recommend that they subscribe. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/TechNewsTodayTV, and you can follow me at elgan.com. Don't miss our other news show, Tech News Tonight, at 4 p.m. Pacific every single weeknight. And that is the Tech News Today. The show is produced by Jason Cleanthus and edited by Anthony Nielsen. My name's Mike Elgan. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.